Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk about 1099-C, cancellation of debt, and we're going to talk about it specifically for credit card debt. It could be utilized for any account, but this is mainly something that I see credit card companies considering because credit card accounts are unsecured debt. So if you have a car, they're not going to do a 1099-C straight out for an automobile loan because they could go and get the vehicle as to get some of their collateral back. Now they could do a 1099-C on the deficiency balance, but they would more than likely sell it. And also credit card companies can sell that debt too, but credit card companies are more likely to do 1099-Cs. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series of videos because I get a lot of questions that maybe I'm confusing people, and it could be confusing because I know this stuff, we do this stuff, so I know that if someone is used to doing something and they kind of tell people how to do it, it could, they could be like, well, I'm not understanding. And that's because, and I apologize for that, is because we do this every day. So when we're talking, some of the times it could be fast. We could be dealing with a credit card company and talking having that back and forth, and we understand things that you may not understand because you're just simply struggling with the credit card debt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series of videos. Video number one, which is this one, this is for people who are trying to save their credit, but they're looking for an option. Because I get one of the calls that or emails that we're getting or YouTube comments that we're getting that has spiked, and I think it's due to the interest rates going up with credit card debt, is that people are saying that they just cannot make those payments. But they're like in between, like they're like thinking one way, hey, should I just let all of this stuff go? Because I cannot continue to just keep working day after day after day after day just to give them that money. And that goes through people's mind. That's a real feeling. That's a real thought pattern. Like sometimes you might see commercials and companies and news reports where they're talking about this stuff, and you're like, well, they're not really getting what I feel about this. I get what you feel about this because I went through it myself. But what I want you to understand is that there's going to be a process. Like, it is not going to be something that you just ram through to a company. Companies make their own decisions. If you get that in your mind that companies make their own decisions, and what you need to do is you need to submit your information based off of the way that that company may want it submitted. Now, I'm going to give you some ground, some ground rules or like a template, so to speak, on the way that we've done it and the way that people have followed my videos and been able to do it, either getting a 1099-C or where you get to settle your accounts. Now, but this first strategy that we're going to talk about in today's video is going to be mainly based off of trying to save your credit. But there is a potential of messing up your credit, and I'm going to explain that even if you are able to work out agreements with the original creditor, and the reason I'm going to explain the reason why on that. All right, so first, if the ultimate goal is to get a 1099-C cancellation of debt, that means that your credit card debt that you owe, they're going to just forgive it. They're going to say, hey, we accept your hardship and you're not going to have to pay this debt. Now, I want you to understand, if that happens, your credit is going to be ruined in that process. You cannot have one and not have the other. You cannot have a 1099-C cancellation of debt and not have your credit ruined. And that's one of the biggest questions that I get from people, is because they're like, I want to save my credit and get these debts forgiven. Logically think. I want you to think logically. How can you save your credit and not pay the creditor? Well, the misconception on that, and I understand that there's YouTube videos out there, is that they're thinking that when they file the 1099-C, that your trust account or whatever, this Social Security account, that they're actually going to get the money. And that is 100% not true. 100% not true. And one way that you can see that that's not true is you can go, and these are public records, public filings. Go to the credit card companies and look at the debt that they've written off, and look at that against their balance sheet on bad debt and the amount on payments that they have coming in. They are publicly traded companies, and these documents are publicly available for anyone to see. And you will see that these are actual losses. Like, they will have actual losses, and there is no line on their financial statement that says we lost over here and we went over here and grabbed the money from their account. So that does not exist. So to be clear, to get a 1099-C cancellation of debt, you cannot save your credit. So now let's go through the processes of doing this to save your credit. So to save your credit, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make a decision if you want to save your credit. The decision is, are you going to focus on the 1099-C, or are you going to focus on what is at hand for the options that you have available? Like, what are the options that you have available to be able to go through this process to save your credit? The first steps that you can make is you can still submit a hardship to them. The reason why you want to submit a hardship to them is to get them, is like to put a frame. Like, imagine it this way. This is a picture frame. And this is your hardship. And this is what you're going through. So now when that agent, whoever's going to be listening to your stuff, you want them to focus here. You want them to focus on what's going on right here. Because if you don't, they're going to focus right here. They don't want to pay. So think about this. Think about this. Like, this is like when people talk about AI and people talk about all these different things that are out there. Let me tell you what makes our company so valuable in the work that we do. And the more that I make these videos and I talk with people and I listen to my customer service team talking with these various companies, working out situations for people to get them in the best resolution, is that this is stuff that an AI just would not be able to understand. This individual is a human. This individual right here that is going to either take this to another boss or be able to make this decision right here, they need to have a picture in their mind of what you're going through. If they don't have that picture in their mind, just think about this. I'm going to make it very easy for you. If they don't have this picture in your mind right here, whatever you're going through for the hardship, the only picture that they're going to have in their mind and the only thoughts that they're going to have in their mind is that you don't want to pay them the money that you took. That you don't want to pay the money that you took. So when people ask me, they'll be like, well, you showed an example of an individual who got a hardship, either 1099-C, or they got a very aggressive package to be able to pay their debt down with them to save their credit. And the whole thing, the way that it was done, is that we got them to focus on this picture. A lot of the times this is done with a letter, but I'm going to tell you that it's going to be done by back and forth conversations. Because what they're going to do is they're going to fill you out. They're going to listen to you. These people are trained. Companies train people. They don't just throw people out there. And they're trained to listen to what you are saying. If you sent them a letter, they're going to look at that letter. If you're just talking to them on the phone, they're going to listen closely to what you're saying. And they're going to put together a picture in their mind, and they're going to send that up as a report. And they're going to either determine that you don't want to pay, or they're going to say that you have a true hardship. And now, if you have a true hardship, you got the frame. If they understand that. And this is what we do, is that we talk with them, and sometimes it can take 3 to 4 conversations before they actually believe a client has a true hardship. Because their job, their mission of this individual right here is to get their money. That's their main focus, is to get their money. And you have to flip that person's focus to start looking at how you're going to frame them on your hardship to get them to understand. That's why you could have one person, you could have two people with the same situation. One person is going to have an excellent outcome resolution and the other person won't. It's because they have not done the work right here. The first steps right here, the hardship. Now, if you got them framed right here with the hardship and they believe you. And this is one of the things that I tell people to do. You're trying to save your credit and we're going to call them up and we want to get a deferment, 3 to 6 months. We have had people who have called up and they said, we don't have deferment programs. And I'm like, every credit card company has a deferment program. But when I started to think about what did you say? Like I would ask them, and it was because they did not frame anything. All the person is thinking is that you don't want to pay. And if you think about it, if you called your credit card company and you asked them about certain programs that they might have available, think about the way that you were talking to them and the way that they were coming back at you. And if they're coming back at you like, we don't have nothing for you, we just need you to pay, you already know that you framed it the wrong way. And people, I don't expect you to be a professional at this. I don't expect you to be a professional at this. You're trying to do your day-to-day work. You're trying to, make sure the family is good and you're good and all of that stuff. You don't have time to understand what this individual is thinking about. But I'm here to tell you that if you're going to resolve your situation, you better start thinking about how to frame that hardship. Because if this is not framed properly and you try to approach them for deferment, it's going to depend on this individual right here on what solutions are going to be available for you. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to get that 3 to 6 months deferment. When you get that 3 to 6 months deferment, you're going to be able to put cash money in your pocket. Now, let me show you how to even make that cash money work even more for you. And I don't want you to spend that money. You don't spend that money. What I want you to do is I want you to put together a plan to pay down some of the other debt, the lower debt, or to just pay down all of the debt and put yourself in a better situation. Now, so you have your deferments. That could put a lot of money in your pocket depending on your payments. And believe it or not, you can defer your car payment. You can defer all types of payments. Now, the interest will continue to add up. But that's fine, because what you're doing is you're, in a way, like if you've seen businesses, they'll have like a Chapter 11 reorganization. Well, what you're doing without bankruptcy is that you're reorganizing your finances. Because if you can reorganize it, maybe you can be able to make the payments after you pay down some debt and after you do the next steps here. The next step is they will offer, and they don't always talk about this. And the reason why they don't talk about this is because most people don't go prepared with a plan. If you have a plan, think about it this way. If you have a plan, if somebody was to walk up to you, like say one of your children came up to you and they said, hey, mom and dad, I know I borrowed, that money, but I have a plan to pay it back. If you can reduce the payments, and if you're pretend like you're charging your kid interest. I know we don't charge our children any interest. But you say, okay, well, if you can make the payment this amount and you can lower the interest that you're charging me, that would lower the payment amount and I would be able to pay you back easier because I'm not going to be struggling on the other side. See, what a lot of people don't understand, is that when you're making the payments, when you're making payments on stuff, you could be making, making a lot of, making your payment. The word is missing me right now. But if you're making payments, make progress. You could be making progress on one of your cards or one of your loans or whatever you have, but it could feel like you're not making any progress. And the reason why is because you have all of these other payments that you added up. So let me show you something that you can't do. I'm going to show you something that you got to watch out for. You got to watch out for this. And I've seen a lot of people do this. I've done it myself. So I'm no different than you. So say you're trying to lower your debt. You're trying to get out of credit card debt. You're trying to, lower your payments that you got with everything that you're paying on, so you can reorganize your finances and save your credit. So like what we just talked about right there. So say, for instance, let's just say you got one credit card, and then what ends up happening, this is exactly what happens with people. So you were always able to make this payment. And let's just say that this payment was $100. What people tend to do, this is exactly why people get into trouble. And when I evaluate people's situation, I'll always see this. I'll see this original credit card that they got, let's just say maybe 10 years ago. And then I will look at their reports and I will start seeing this, where it'll be like 2 years later, 2.5 years, 1 year, 6 months. So what happens is you do good on this one. Like you were paying your balances, or first people will pay their balance. I don't want to forget that. Most people, when they first get credit cards, they will pay their balances off, like they pay it all the time. That credit card companies understand that. They'll even try to draw you in. Hey, if you pay it off at the end of the month, you don't have to pay any interest rates, any interest on the payment, because they know that over time you're going to end up doing payments, and then that's when they're going to make money with the interest. So all they're doing is hoping that happens. But what starts to happen is that other companies will see what you're doing with that credit card. Have you ever got those advertisements in the mail and you're wondering, how in the hell are they even knowing about me having a credit card, or that I'm potentially in the position to get approved for a credit card? It's not because they can see specifically what you're doing, but there is a point that they will be able to do that. But at the beginning, all they know is that you are a credit card user, and they will buy that data from TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, and they will get that information, and they will start soliciting you to get credit cards. And all of a sudden, you're making this payment, everything is good, and then all of a sudden you go ahead and say, hey, let me just add another card. For whatever reason, we're not going to get into that right now. And then maybe that one is only $75. And then you get another solicitation, and then maybe this one is, let's just say, $60. And then you get another one, and let's just say that this one is $50. And then you get another one, say it's $40. So now you look at the payments that you've added up right here. So you've got another 75, you got 60, you got 50, you got 40. So now look at what all of that is doing to you. This is what people start to run into when dealing with credit card debt. So so what you have to do is, in essence, from what I just showed you right here, in essence, what you're going to start doing is utilizing this strategy here to, in essence, do all of this in reverse. To really do all of this in reverse. Hopefully, your lowest card here, maybe it's not, maybe it's reversed or a different way. Maybe the last card you got had the bigger amount that you can charge. But what you're going to basically do is you're going to put together that plan based off of what I just showed you on the other screen, and you're going to put together a plan to start reversing all of this right here. Now, it's going to be up to you if you want to close out the accounts. I can tell you that if you close out the accounts, it's going to make your credit go down. But if you're disciplined and you're not going to use the cards the same way that you've used them before, then you should keep the cards open. If you're not disciplined and you know that you're not disciplined, be honest with yourself. I will close out the cards and just keep one, maybe the one that you had the longest payment history on. And don't worry about the score. I know the scores is a big thing with a lot of you that are watching, but I'm just telling you that the scores do not override the frustration and the feelings of waking up every morning, not being able to pay your bills. having all of these, these credit card bills coming in, and you're just opening them up and saying, I got to make this payment, that payment. You're trying to figure out how you're going to shift all the money to do all this stuff. So to review. First thing is that you cannot get a 1099 cancellation of debt without messing up your credit. It just does not exist. Next thing, 1099-C, they do not go and get money from some account just because they do that. That does not exist. Just don't think that way. The next thing is you need to make a decision. You need to decide on what is going to be your path. And I'm going to make a video this week so you'll get the alert. Make sure that you hit that notification bell, because the next video is going to talk about the next solution. But this is the solution to try to save your credit. So the first thing is that you need to get that individual, that rep. You're going to have to do some phone. You're going to have to do some letter writing, and letter writing is not going to just do it. You're going to be on the phone with someone. I know this because this is what we do here every day. You got to get that individual to have your frame of reference on what you want them to think about your situation, not what they want to think about. Because if the first thing that they're thinking about is what their boss said, they work for that company, and they're going to be like, they don't want to pay us. That's what's going to be in their mind. So you want to get them framed on your hardship, and you're going to have to listen and get them to believe it. It takes call after call after call, back and forth. They're going to fill you out. You need to fill them out. But you will get to a point where they will believe you. If they do not give you these types of options for dealing with your situation, I can tell you from experience that they just think that you just do not want to pay. And also, I forgot to talk about it on the other screen. When you sign up for a credit card and you accept their terms, one of the things that you accept, that we all accept when we take on a credit card, is that they can look at your history on another credit card. Yes, that means that if you're paying another credit card company and you're not paying them, guess what they're going to be thinking? Right here. Credit card companies are the only companies that have full access to what you're doing with another company. And the reason why is because it's an unsecured account. And so that it's under a whole different term. If you're paying your car payment and you mess up on your credit cards, the car finance company can't do anything about it. You mess up on your car payment, you mess up on other credit cards, the credit card companies, all of them can change the terms just like that. They can jack up your interest rates, they can close your accounts, they can lower your balances, and just think, lower your available credit. And just think about this. This happened the other day before I continue. Someone had, where can I write it here? Someone had a $10,000 account. They were using $9,000, I think it was like $9,035. They were using it. They messed up on another card, and the company pulled this down to $8,000, which made them $1,035 over on their balance, and that jacked up their interest rate. And then they were getting a fee every month for being over their available credit card available credit limit. So these are the games that these companies will play. And then what they'll do is they're going to keep racking up those fees, because what they're thinking about is that you could potentially end up not paying them, and then they're going to want to be able to either sell that debt for the most that they can, or take you to court and have fees and everything already built in, plus stack up fees for their attorney that they would use to sue you. So if they do not offer you these, offer you any of this right here, that means that the framing that you put, they're focused more right here. They're not focused here. Trust me on this. You can call them up, and if you get, number one, if you get the wrong person, they're going to be thinking this way, and you're going to have that back and forth. You get the right person, not to say that every rep is going to be the same. Some people in there, just different personalities, they may go ahead and tell you about these right here. But we have had calls where people had said that they didn't offer them anything. We made the call, and all of a sudden they had all of these options available to them. So payment deferment, what I'm telling you to do, 3 to 6 months, They're going to charge you interest, but that's okay. Save that money to reduce your debt, to do that plan that I just told you, where you're going to reverse all of those credit cards that you had by paying those off. You're not going to be doing settlements. If you do settlements, you're going to mess up your credit. This is about saving your credit. In the next video, we're going to talk about tearing up your credit. We're going to ask for interest rates reduction, and when you get interest rates reductions, it's going to reduce payments. Now, these are two different things. I didn't make that clear earlier. Payment reduction could be where your payments are $100 a month, and maybe they'll say for the next year you could pay $50 a month. It's going to keep adding up, and you're going to see that you're not really getting anywhere. Once you get into this year, the way that they write their statements, you're going to see the next statement when you're making that lower payment. The time frame to pay it off is going to be extended by a lot. They have to put that on there, but that's okay because you're trying to save your credit. You won't have any late payments on there when you make those adjustments. And when you reduce the interest rates, if you get an interest rate reduction, you can get an automatic payment reduction because the interest rates are not going to be the same. They can do that. Remember, if you frame it with this, with a hardship, whatever your hardship that you're going through, and technically they do not care about financial hardships unless you had a job loss, something that's provable, like what happened here, Master Lock, closing down in Milwaukee, hundreds of people losing their job. That would be a straight up hardship that I would use with dealing with a credit card company, because they can understand that. They can understand that it's going to be a huge adjustment. And what I would if any of you in Milwaukee are watching right now, this is exactly what you should do. Even before you get to that point, you need to start looking at ways to pay off your debt and make that adjustment on in replacing your income, because you're going to have to find a new job. But this is the solution right here. This works all the time for people. You're going to have to still remain disciplined. You're going to have to pay close attention to what you're spending your money on. Like, all of that stuff is going to be some habit changing that you're going to have to be dedicated to allowing to start becoming part of your life. This is not overnight. It's going to be frustration before you see the light. It's always that way. I want you to understand that. Some people think that just because you do something that they're going to see some type of result the next month. You're going to see a result. When you're putting it into the hands of the company, you're not their only customer. You're not the only file on their table. You're not the only potential hardship. And if it's in the charge-off process, you're not the only one in that right there. You're not the only one being considered for 1099-C. They're doing work over there. They're not robots. That's why I tell people, don't just sit here and believe that you're going to solve all of these problems by dealing with letters and dealing with people who don't talk to people and AI and all that. No. This right here, when it comes to people's money, are you going to send, if somebody owed you money, are you going to make that call? Are you going to make that visit? Or are you going to send some AI over to, say, hey, can you get me my money, or let's figure out a plan? No, you're going to want to talk to that person to work out something so you will know for yourself, hey, is this the deal? Now, you can let the AI write up the contract or whatever, but you're going to want to talk to that person to make sure that you understand and that they understand what the deal is. All right, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion Equifax Experian credit reports. If you are trying to save your credit and you want to have a plan of action put together to help you get out of debt, we do help people with that. And if you're looking at getting out of debt and you're just like, hey, I cannot pay anymore, I want to work with someone to be able to pay off these debts with settlement, reach out to us. We would review your situation and give you a proposal on helping you do that. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations, cease and desist collection activities letter, and debt validation. These 3 letters have literally saved people hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and frustration. because there are still debt collectors buying debt that's past legal statute of limitations. And if you don't appropriately respond to that, you can either reset that debt or you can put yourself in a bad situation. My cease and desist collection activities letter, that letter is put together to ask debt collectors specific questions to make sure that they have all of the information to come after you for that debt. When you read it, you may not even understand it, but they, trust me, they understand what's being said in that. And if they respond to you, they might respond, or they may say they're going to cease collections. If they respond to you, I give you a debt validation letter to reply back to them. And usually with that combination, you can stop debt collectors in their tracks so it doesn't get to any, make the situation doesn't get any worse. I would like to thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the CreditRepairShop.com.